Hey guys, Jake from 80/20 Media here. Today we're going to be talking about GM's active and dynamic fuel management. First off, I'll go ahead and talk just briefly about what AFM and DFM are, the differences between the two, and then we'll go ahead and talk about some of the problems that they cause, like the classic lifter failure, as well as wrap things out with the things that you can do to improve reliability and prevent some of these problems that tends to be caused by these AFM and DFM systems. AFM and DFM are fuel management systems. Their whole purpose is to improve fuel economy. GM claims that vehicles with AFM or DFM see anywhere from a 5 to 15% increase in fuel economy. Now, they work by actually turning cylinders off under ideal driving conditions, basically taking your V8 truck or V6 vehicle and turning it into a V4 or even in some cases down to a V2 to reduce fuel usage. While GM claims that there are fuel economy benefits to these systems, they are known to cause a number of problems on GM vehicles, with the most predominant problem being collapsed lifters and lifter failure. But they do cause a number of other problems like excessive oil consumption, which can lead to some more significant engine problems down the road, and they do create a couple performance-related issues as well. So basically, in a nutshell, AFM and DFM are fuel economy systems that are aimed at improving your gas mileage by basically turning off cylinders in your engine so that your engine uses less fuel. Now let's go ahead and talk about what the differences are between AFM and DFM. AFM was introduced in the mid-2000s. It's found most commonly on 2007 plus Silverados, Sierras, Suburbans, and basically any of their major V8 and V6 engines that were used from 2007 onwards. In 2019, GM released an upgrade to active fuel management, which is known as dynamic fuel management. Dynamic fuel management is predominantly used on 2019 plus models, but it isn't used on all 2019 plus models. Some 2019 and 2020 models still got the AFM versions of the engine and not the DFM versions of the engine. So what's the difference between the two? The main difference between the two systems is the number of cylinders that they shut down, as well as the hardware that are used on the engines. So when we look at active fuel management takes your V8 or your V6 truck and turns it into a V4. So on the V8 models, 4 of your cylinders get turned off, and on the V6 models, 2 of your cylinders get turned off. So there are only 4 cylinders or 2 cylinders that are capable of being shut off at any given time. On V8 models, for example, the 4 cylinders that are able to be deactivated have special lifters, and those special lifters are what allow it to be able to turn those cylinders off. You've got 4 cylinders that have AFM lifters, and then you have 4 cylinders that have your standard normal lifters. DFM works differently in that it can shut down any one of your engine cylinders. On DFM engines, there are 17 different firing sequences, and up to 6 cylinders can be deactivated at any given time. So your V8 truck could potentially be driving with 2 cylinders engaged and 6 cylinders turned off under ideal driving conditions. Alongside that, all of your 8 cylinders with DFM are going to have the same hardware and the same DFM lifters. And this is important to note because when we talk about lifter failure with these engines, lifter failure tends to occur on the cylinders that have the AFM or the DFM lifters. And so on vehicles with AFM, you have 4 cylinders that are prone to having lifter-related issues, but on the DFM engines, all 8 of your cylinders are prone to lifter failure because all 8 of them have the DFM lifters on them. So that's the predominant difference. I'm going to stay away from all of the technical jargon because the way that these systems work is very technical and in-depth, but the predominant difference is AFM basically turns your V8 or your V6 into a V4, whereas vehicles that have DFM can turn it all the way down into a 2-cylinder. So now let's go ahead and talk about the problems that AFM and DFM cause. As I mentioned previously, the predominant problem is collapsed lifters, sticking lifters, and overall lifter failure. Now, lifter failure is the most important problem because lifters require quite a bit of work and labor to get to them to replace them. So if you end up having a bad lifter and need to go through the repair process, you're looking at a multi-$1,000 in engine repairs just to go ahead and get the lifters replaced. So the problems that AFM and DFM cause can be very expensive to fix. The majority of these engines that have these systems will eventually experience lifter-related issues, whether it's at 80,000 miles or 200,000 miles. And so that's one of the biggest reliability concerns with all of the V8s and V6s that are used in pretty much all of GM's lineup. In addition to having lifter-related issues, you also will experience excessive oil consumption. And there have been some issues with this causing problems with the oil life monitoring system. In certain situations where you have a malfunction with your oil life monitoring system and you're having excessive oil consumption, it can lead to you running low on oil and running into oil starvation issues, which ultimately leads to a higher likelihood of having lifter-related problems, but also can lead to some pretty serious and catastrophic internal engine damage. And then outside of those reliability-related problems, it does create some performance issues that are worth mentioning. With the way these systems work, at any point in time while you're driving down the road, your engine might be operating on less than full cylinders. So if you're in V4 mode and you go to hit the accelerator pedal to speed up, your engine first has to turn back on the other 4 cylinders before it can supply all of the power that your V8 engine is supposed to have. So you will get some hesitation or sluggishness around acceleration to where it feels like you don't have a whole lot of throttle response. And that's because the engine is taking itself from V4 mode or V2 mode and kicking it back on to full cylinder power. And there's a little bit of hesitation that happens when that takes place. So these aren't necessarily serious performance related issues, but they are things that are small nuances that you will notice over time. And as your engine gets higher mileage and your lifters start to experience a little bit more of the wear and tear of constantly shutting off and turning back on, these problems will become a little bit more pronounced and more noticeable. So all in all, active and dynamic fuel management are systems that come with a lot more problems than they do benefits. So ultimately, we always recommend disabling or deleting your active fuel management or dynamic fuel management systems. By doing this, your engine is going to have 100% of the power all the time whenever you need it. You're going to get rid of those small performance related issues like the hesitation, the lack of acceleration, and that rough driving experience. So in addition to getting some performance related benefits, you're also getting a lot of reliability related benefits. So we always recommend disabling the systems. We think that the benefits significantly outweigh the potential small decreases in fuel economy that you might see. So let's go ahead now and talk about a couple ways that you can get rid of your active or dynamic fuel management. So the 2 main options are to disable it or to fully delete it. The best option to get rid of AFM or DFM is simply to disable it. And when we talk about disabling it, there are 2 different routes to go. The first is by using an AFM disabler, like our Boost AFM and DFM disabler device right here. And the second option is to flash tune it and program AFM or DFM out of it. If you're already tuned or you have a programmer, then it should be pretty easy and simple to just reflash your ECU and turn off AFM or DFM. But that does require you to reprogram your engine's computer. So generally speaking, if you aren't tuned or don't have a programmer, the best route to go is by using a simple plug and play AFM or DFM disabler. Here we have our Boost AFM and DFM disabling device. This is a simple plug and play device. You plug it into the OBD2 port, and once this LED light turns green, this device is sending a message to your vehicle, basically telling it not to engage active or dynamic fuel management, which will then keep your truck or GM vehicle in V8 or V6 mode 100% of the time. You can unplug this device and there will be no evidence that it was ever there. If you want to remove it for state inspections or emissions testing, or because you still have warranty on your vehicle and you need to take it to the dealership, you can unplug this and there'll never be any evidence that it was there. Now, a couple other benefits of our device over some of the others on the market. Our device is 100% manufactured, engineered, and tested here in the United States. Our device was engineered in Oregon. It's manufactured in Arizona, Even our packaging and our packaging inserts come from a company out of California, and then we sell them out of our home states of Texas and Colorado. And so everything that goes into this device was made here in America, which we believe is the right thing for a made in America GM vehicle. A couple other things, this has the lowest power draw out of any AFM or DFM disabler on the market. Some of the other products out there will actually cause your battery to drain to the point that your car won't start if you leave the device plugged in for a couple-day period without driving your vehicle. We have engineered an extremely low power mode on this to where this can be left plugged into your vehicle for weeks without causing any issues with your battery or causing no start conditions. Ultimately, with this device, you're gonna get full power all the time. You're gonna get the improved performance of not having your car constantly switching back between V8, V4, and other engine modes, and you're going to get the better throttle response, a smoother driving experience, in addition to all of the reliability benefits by helping prevent lifter failure, excessive oil consumptions, and all of the other problems that these systems cause on GM vehicles. Head on over to boostafmdisabler.com where we sell these devices for $149 with free 2 to 3 day priority shipping, or head over to Amazon where we have them available on Amazon Prime with the free 1 to 2 day shipping as well for the same $149 price point. Fully deleting it requires replacing all of your lifters. You have to get the AFM or DFM lifter swapped out for the normal lifters. You have to get a non-AFM camshaft. You have to replace the valley cover and so on. So there's a lot of components that have to be replaced to get all of the AFM or DFM equipment out of the vehicle. The downside is that it is obviously expensive to purchase new lifters, camshafts, and more importantly, it takes a lot of labor hours to get to all of those components and to replace those components. We're gonna go ahead and continue to talk more about AFM, DFM, and these systems in general. So if you guys appreciate this content and wanna learn more, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for our future videos.